Hazbin Hotel, The Amazing Digital Circus, Murder Drones, and Lackadaisy. Sound familiar? These are all the show titles of indie animation projects. But first, what is indie animation? Indie animation refers to animated works created independently of major studios or traditional media companies. For example, the 4 shows I mentioned have been released on YouTube first, and funded by independent means relying heavily on crowdfunding on platforms such as Patreon or Kickstarter. But the main question is indie animation the future? Here are the reasons why maybe it isn't. According to Glassdoor, some indie production companies such as Spindlehorse, who produced Hazbin Hotel and its spin-off show Helluva Boss, have not been paying their animators a fair enough wage for the work they produce. Due to budget constraints, a common issue in indie animation due to the unpredictable nature of crowdfunding and merch sales, salaries at Spindlehorse range from an estimated $60,795 to $183,962 annually, based on seniority within the company. It is worth noting that this income is inconsistent as any line of work in the entertainment industry is seasonal. Although this is in line with industry standards, there is an ongoing debate as to whether industry standards should be the standard in the first place. According to the net worth spot, Spindlehorse's CEO Vivian Medrano has a confirmed net worth of $6.8 million from YouTube revenue alone, with rumours of it potentially being a higher number since Hazbin Hotel's success on Amazon Prime. Therefore, it is quite clear that the exploitation of animators and storyboard artists still continues to be the case, whether the animated work is an indie project or a mainstream one. In addition, indie animation attracts, well, an indie audience. For example, while the Lackadaisy webcomics have reached a considerable audience on their own, the animated pilot episode inspired by them got 11 million views on YouTube 6 months after its release. While that number is still rising, it really is quite meagre compared to works from more major franchises, such as the first Kung Fu Panda movie, which according to the Cartoon Brew had 8.4 million viewers during its opening weekend. Therefore, while indie animation might allow for more creative concepts and free streaming, unfortunately there's a chance it can't exactly compete with more mainstream works regarding audience sizes or from a financial standpoint. Not to mention, it is still subject to scrutiny and controversy as neither industry seems willing to pay its workers a fair wage. However, there are many reasons why indie animation can be the future of animation as a whole. Indie animation allows independent producers to release quality content, allowing audiences to watch it for free on platforms such as YouTube. If a pilot episode does well, sometimes it can get picked up by a major streaming and production company and gain even more visibility. This has happened to 2 major shows which started out on YouTube, the first being Hazbin Hotel, which got picked up by A24 and Amazon Prime, the second being The Amazing Digital Circus, which got picked up by Netflix. But what if that doesn't happen? Well, it's not the end of the world. Shows like Murder Drones, which didn't perform well enough to get picked up by a major streaming platform or get a renewal for a second season, still gained a lot of revenue from crowdfunding and merch. This kept their production company, Glitch Productions, going, enough to create more shows like The Amazing Digital Circus, which did do well. In addition, YouTube's monetization guidelines allows creators to earn passive income from ads placed in videos for channels that have over 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. With Murder Drones' pilot episode having 71 million views since its release 3 years ago, and the fact that Glitch Productions' YouTube channel currently has around 15 million subscribers, there is no doubt that enough money to keep the company going is being made passively from YouTube ads alone. And finally, there is a lot more artistic freedom that can come from indie animation works. This is because genre constraints and censorship that come from big production companies just doesn't happen. For example, Disney's aggressive censorship of neurodivergent and queer subtext in their latest release Elio, or their sudden episode productions of TV shows like The Owl House for similar reasons, are things that indie animation is not subject to, as they have nothing to do with these major production companies who do similar things. This allows for indie creators to create characters who are explicitly confirmed to be a part of the LGBTQ+ community, rather than queer-coded ones who don't really provide accurate or respectful representation. Similarly, according to Peter C. Kunz on Taylor and Francis, storylines that focus on the POC community and struggles with mental health, which would normally be considered a financial risk for bigger production companies like Disney to take on, are themes that indie animation projects tend to focus on the most. For example, Pieces of Powder is animated by just one person, but it primarily focuses on mental health and social anxiety as a primary theme throughout the show. Another example of POC and immigrant representation seen in indie projects would be Lackadaisy, where Jewish, Creole, Irish, Eastern European, and multi-ethnic characters take up most of the screen time. With more creative freedoms leading to greater representation for marginalised communities, as well as innovative ways to get funding for projects that would entertain smaller but more consistent audiences, indie animation has formed a creative hub online, free from censorship and paywalls from streaming services that have allowed millions of people to enjoy their shows. So, what do you think? Will indie animation become the future of the industry? Let us know in the comment section below.